All right, I got a poem to read for our intro, if that's okay.
Is it bad?
No, it's beautiful.
Are you down bad?
No, it's a poem. It's just a poem to read. All right. Honk honk beep beep, stepping on the gas, cutting off a greasy granny in the lane of pass. See me in my red hot rod, burning rubber hard. Staying there going past a bus stop and saying, haha, 'cause I have car. That's a poem by Jimmy Jangles, a race car driver. He said that Wayne won the race. Welcome back to Stacked episode, the big race.
The race.
Welcome back to Welcome back to Stacked episode 46. That's right. If you put two and two together, we're talking about only Speed Kings are allowed for this episode. So if you don't like
poetry movies, yeah.
If you don't like the smell of rubber when it rips off the fucking cement, get the hell off the show of the podcast now.
No.
Leave. Just kidding. You can stay, but we're gonna be talking about cars. We're gonna talk about cars, car movies about cars. Why do people love cars so much? Why do you think people love cars?
They destroy the environment, and
you think that's why they love cars?
No, I think they give off, the way they're designed, they give off cool vibes. You know what I mean?
Cool yeah,
vibes. Like you've ever seen a Ferrari and go, "Wow, it's so sleek." That's probably
so sleek.
So on fleek. That's why they probably like it, because the appearance and that they go fast.
Ah, yes. Chris, you have a nice car. Why do you like cars?
I like cars because the freedom it gives you, the ability to move, the
That's
ability
true.
to go wherever your heart wants you to go. The ability to rip ass and
you
smoke
can
some
rip
gas.
ass in the car and no one can hear it because it's just you in the car.
Except if other
That's why
people
I
are in the
like
car
cars.
with you at that time.
So other people, then they're fucked.
then you block their ability to roll down the windows and they die.
Wow. What kind of ripping ass are you doing?
A nuclear bomb.
Yeah, cars are good for going to places fast, you know? You don't have to walk anywhere anymore. You don't take the dang bus. Buses are kind of slow because they're big and heavy. But if you have a hot rod, going from 0 to 60, flossing 90 degrees, 10 CDs, Sony cartridges, 10 CDs each, reach to the beach, Southside laying in, you know what I'm saying? Cars are cool. And that's why there's a lot of movies centered around cars and driving, you know? So I want to ask you guys, like, what do you think is essential to a movie about cars besides there being cars?
It can't just be like a modern movie where like it's set in 2010 and it has a car. For me, I feel like a car movie has to surround a car, like the idea of this car being a part of the plot of the film.
Well, that could be a 2010s movie.
No.
With a
because
car.
No, okay, but like here's the thing, right? There's a difference between like a movie like Duel, which takes place almost exclusively in a car.
Yeah.
And a movie like Mission Impossible, which has a bunch of like, maybe has a few car chases, but isn't
But
about
it's not about the cars.
It's not about the journey. You know what I mean?
The cars are just as essential to the characters as the clothes that they're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
kind of.
if you think about it, of their being.
If you think about a car is a piece of clothing, you wear it.
It is
when you get inside of it.
It's like a big shoe. It's shaped like a shoe too, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Except the shoe makes you run 60 miles an hour.
And then those shoes have shoes, and that's tires, because tires are like shoes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you. What about you, Chris? What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm pretty much in the same boat as you, Brandon. Like, the idea that these cars have to be significant to the story, the narrative, or whatever. Like, it just has to have something about it that makes it worth more than a piece of like stage. You know, it has to be something a bit more than what's in the background or just like part of one segment of the film. It has to be an extension of the character or something like that. I don't know, but hey, like that's the fun about these kinds of categories. You can go wherever you want. You can argue it. I don't think I have anything too crazy this time, but
you don't have any barn burners like Kung Fury and Blue Planet 2?
I don't know.
No, Planet Blue.
Planet Blue.
No, Planet Blue is the prequel to Blue Planet and Blue Planet 2. Remember, it goes Planet Blue, Blue Planet 2. Okay? Just so we're clear.
And then the next one, two Planet Blue, Too Furious.
Two
Blue Planet 2.
Two Blue Planets 2.
Two Blue Planets, 2 blue. All right, you fucking animals. Let's start this show. But first, let's go over the rules of the show. If you're unaware what the fuck we're talking about, if you're just on a big old car junkie and you saw this show on the internet, you just in your YouTube recommendations, you click on, you're like, I want to hear about car movies, and you're like, what the hell is this show? Well, I'm about to tell you right now. Once a week, we set a topic or theme and go our separate ways to construct our own 3 film stacks. Then after a week, we come back here on the podcast and share our own stacks 1 film at a time. Then at the end of the show, we will mix and match our 9 films, make the ultimate decision what quintessential 3 film stack we are checking out of this hypothetical video store. We're doing car movies. Brandon, it is you, my boy, with our first car movie.
Well, I'm picking a recent film. I'm picking a 2020 film that won Best Picture, Nomadland.
What?
What?
That's a van movie. That's not a car
Cars
movie.
are vans. You cannot.
It's a van movie. Are you kidding me?
No, they are in the same species of vehicle.
We just hyped up this whole episode about, yeah, cars are the fastest on the road, and you picked one of the slowest movies out there. All right, tell us why Nomadland is an essential car movie.
Okay, because it almost entirely takes place in a car, right? Frances McDormand's character lives in her car. She enjoys living in her car. She goes on her journey in her car, and it is by definition an extension of herself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, I love this movie because it you get so much emotional connections with her character and what she's going through. Also, I have a personal connection to this movie because it takes place partially in Arizona, and I really like the way of life that she lives. Now, I don't think I would ever live in a van. I wouldn't go that far, but I love that you can do that in this country and that you can have that freedom to have that self-discovery. It's awesome.
Right. Okay, I wasn't laughing at you because it's an absurd pick. I'm laughing at you because I'm so shocked that I didn't think of this, because this is a movie about people who love cars so much that they live in their car, you know? Because yes, that's the exact reason this film was trying to communicate why they live on the road.
Yeah, that's
they
that's what this movie's
love
about.
their car. They just love cars.
Yeah, Chloe Zhao really just opened her mind in that with that kind of.
That's what she said in the acceptance speech. She's just like, yeah, I love cars, and I just want to make a movie about cars.
But it's a good movie, right?
It's a great movie. I love this movie. Yeah. In terms of cars, I think it does a good job at capturing the car life and sort of the space that they have, the spaces that they work with.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the most intense scenes is when she's sleeping in the car when it's really cold. And it's
the part where she's taking a shit in her car.
When she's taking a shit in her car.
You remember that scene? That was a good scene.
Yeah.
That was killing me. Fucking Francis ripping ass.
Remember when
in the van?
she dropped her plates and they broke?
Oh
yeah,
God.
dude.
That was so heart-wrenching. Those were actually family heirlooms that Frances McDormand had, and that was not in the script.
Really?
Yeah. So that reaction she had was real. And I was like,
how did she not murder that actor?
Wait, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm not
God.
kidding. That was something I learned last week.
That blows, man.
I know it blows, but that's so it adds to the elements of this film. It's just so personal, right? I just
Oh,
love it makes it so like deep. I hate to be that guy, but it's
uh-huh.
like very introspective to be like, this is my life and this is what I want to make of it, even if
Mhm.
it's super bare bones. But the beautiful cinematography like carries it. Chris, you're a
Yeah,
cinematography guy.
beautiful. I think like yeah, I definitely agree. Like the what makes this movie kind of like weirdly like I mean like her story itself is like on paper doesn't sound very interesting. But I think what makes this movie great is that like it's able to kind of like place you in her shoes a little bit, you know? You feel the world as she does and like I don't know, it's just like it's one of those movies that reminds you that like we are all human and everyone is going through their own shit. No matter how who you are, everyone's got some stuff on their plate. And there's something like, if you walked by like that character in real life, you'd probably not think twice about it. But realizing like, oh my god, this person has this whole story, this whole life that I'm completely unaware of. There's something like human about that, and I think that's what this movie does excellently.
I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about the plate scene. Like I
Does
don't
that
know if
hurt?
I don't know if I can rewatch that scene ever again now. So that's so awkward. Oh,
Is it? I think
yeah.
it's like I think it's so real. Like it's the
It's
closest thing
too
we could
real.
get to American neorealism, which is
It's
like
breaking plates.
on accident, right? Like
Yeah.
this is somebody like actually living their life and being on the road for that long, and that takes balls.
Wow. That's
Out of the box pick.
Out of the
that's
box,
wild.
but kind
Out
of
of the box
within the
pick.
box in a weird way.
It's yes. It's so in the box. It's out of the box. It's like it's hiding in the box. Like you didn't see it in there. You know.
Like
Hiding
the
in the box.
plate.
That's a good way to put it. Hiding in the box, just like the
Plates.
fucking plates.
Like yeah, you open the box, it falls out and it breaks like the plates because you didn't know it was in there. Oh shit.
I wonder if Francis is
Uh,
still friends with that actor.
Probably.
I hope so.
They
Yeah.
probably. I think it was in the moment. Like
Or that was the last scene they shot, and then they never spoke again.
never spoke again.
Oh man.
All I'm saying, there's
yeah.
a reason he wasn't at the Oscars.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Maybe.
All right. What a
Nice.
great first pick.
Great start.
Chris, you want to go into your car movie?
I'm gonna switch gears a little bit from Nomadland and go into like a pretty
Switch
fast,
gears, huh?
Yeah, switch gears. A pretty fast movie. This is the one I think everyone knew was coming. Come on, it's
Yeah.
2006 film
which
directed
one?
by Justin Lin. It's Tokyo Drift.
Oh, you picked Tokyo
Yeah.
Drift.
It's the most car one.
Okay,
It's car centric.
that's true.
As everyone knows, this was
Yeah.
probably one of the last ones before Fast and Furious became an action series before a car series. And yeah, this is I think one of their most fun ones in their thing. Like I really like Fast 5 and 6 and 7 and even a little bit of 8. But one thing I love about Tokyo Drift is how focused this film is on cars and your ability to drive. Because going forward, it's a lot more about family. It's a lot more about action and fighting and combat and shit like that. This one's all about cars and your ability to drive well. And wow, it's a lot of fun. I think Hans, I don't know what car it is. Is it a Mazda? Yeah, his yellow Mazda is gorgeous. I love that car so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ethan, I remember when we watched this together, like we were talking about how like it's got a perfect combination of like that early 2000s cheesiness, but also having that kind of initial D-esque energy, just to back it up a little bit and give it this kind of unique identity of its own. And I mean, there's a reason that this movie is so iconic among like not only car people, but just like people in movies in general. A lot of people at least know the Tokyo Drift like song by Teriyaki Boys. So yeah. This is it's not the most well-made movie in the world, but it's definitely a really fun one.
Oh yeah.
What do you guys think of Tokyo Drift?
Well, it like so I watched all the Fast and Furious movies this year, right? And when I first saw Tokyo Drift, I was like, "That's a good movie." I really enjoyed that. But the more and more I went through the series, the more and more I found myself yearning for like films like Tokyo Drift in this franchise. Like I found it really like bold of them to like completely switch the main characters, and go with this other guy as he goes to Tokyo and stuff like that. It meets these whole new characters, and you only get like any reference to Dom Toretto until like literally the last 2 seconds of the movie, where you just see him. He's like, "Hey, I knew Han," and that's it, and the movie ends. But like, yeah, there's nothing. The coolest thing about cars is drifting. Okay, there's nothing cool. That takes so much technique to pull that off. I'm gonna get into it more with one of my picks later on, but
Is it a Mario Kart movie or something?
there's no such thing as a Mario Kart movie, you fucking idiot. Shut
It's
up.
happening.
Shut
It's
up. Shut up.
It's
Shut
happening.
up. No, but like just like it does a really good job of balancing drama and racing and car racing. I think one of my one complaints with Tokyo Drift is I feel like the racing set pieces could be a bit more grandiose, I feel. It feels a bit constrained when the races are only limited to like parking garages and stuff like that, especially when I've seen such great drifting races in another property, which like I said, I'll talk about later. But yeah, it does a really good job at capturing the car scene. If you're a real gearhead, you're gonna love this movie because as people talking about cars, it has a Hulk car, a Hulk van. Remember that Incredible Hulk van? It's so stupid.
It's got
Yeah.
It's got like
what?
Hulk
got
punches
fists.
in it or something like that.
Yeah, that devalues the car.
Yeah, and I'm just excited to see all those characters return for Fast 9. I'm glad they're bringing them back, even though I
Kinda
said
weird.
Yeah, justice for Han.
even though I said the Fast and Furious franchise. Like, what if they just went that direction where it was like a different country every movie with like different characters and how they like perceive car culture and racing. I don't know. I thought that would be something cool. Maybe someone should do that.
Can you imagine if they did each of those and then they did like a team up crossover at the end?
Yes.
That would be so epic.
They could have had their
And
own
it's like Cars
cinematic
2.
universe.
Cars 2 and Iron Man 2, where they have like a Grand Prix between all of the teams.
Like Cars 2. Yeah.
It's like Wacky Racers. You like that?
Yes, or Death Race 2000 where they like drive across the country. I don't know. Yeah. Brandon, what do you think about Tokyo Drift?
This is the only Fast and Furious movie that
Ever.
exudes the same energy as the arcade game that it was based on. Like the color palette and the way the style kind of echoes that, because like the early 2000s ones, it tries to take like certain things like the NOS kicks or whatever, and it feels like an early 2000s comic book movie.
Mhm.
It doesn't feel like more of like a racing game movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I picture going to a movie theater and there being an arcade at the side and there's a car game where you get in there and you're like,
Yeah.
I imagine something like Tokyo Drift, the way the neons, and maybe that's like the way Japan kind of has set up their like, I don't know, their I don't want it. It's not production design because that's just the way it is. Their architecture,
Yeah.
in modern day Japan.
You go. Imagine Brandon going to Japan. He's like, "Oh man, the PD is great here."
But for like it just matches that aesthetic super well. And not only that, it is a very good self-contained story. Not saying it's the best of the series. Like I think it's probably like top 3. Like I think Fast 5 and 6 are probably better, but I definitely enjoy this one a lot more. And also, much like Nomadland, there's Arizona in it, and I connect with that.
That's right. The movie starts
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, I think Fast 5 is still like peak Fast,
Yeah.
but Tokyo Drift is close behind it just because I love street racing and I think this one captures street racing the most besides the first film. All right. Great pick. Love to see that there. All right, I'm going to go into my first film. My first film was a horror movie directed by John Carpenter. Christine. Has anyone ever here seen Christine?
No, I've read the
No.
book.
You read the book. Okay, so you still have some reference of what Christine is about.
Yeah.
So it's about a car. Okay, so imagine if the movie Cars was a horror movie. This could, you know what? This could be like a prequel to Cars. You know, like Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This could be like the
It's like
Rise of the Planet of the Apes because it's about a dude who gets like a haunted car, and he falls in love with the car, and the car's name is Christine, and she's a nice looking car. That's all I'm gonna say. Like it's a nice clean car.
She was
that
sliced.
fixes herself, and once like she gets into wrecks and stuff, so she's like basically invincible. And Christine gets a little protective of her owner, and she goes out of her way to go kill all of her friends. So it's a slasher movie, but with a car, and it sounds so stupid, but John Carpenter is able to like make a car seem scary, like eerie. Like you'll have scenes of people walking down the street, and then you'll have like the headlights turn on the distance, and like the sort of the lens flare that he'll do is just like, oh, what's over there, and then the car will come and start chasing you and stuff like that. It's a fun, dumb movie, and I just thought like it's weird to make a horror movie about cars, and I just wanted to put like this is a very unique film, and I think it's a very iconic film. I think it's one of Stephen King's most popular works. It's up there, and yeah, I think John Carpenter did a very good job adapting it. Brandon, what do you think about Christine, since you've read the book?
I think it's a great encapsulation of the obsession of car culture in the US in the 1950s, because this is post like Model T and like the 1910s and 20s, roaring 20s, where people were starting to buy cars more, and they didn't see them as like, oh, these are just cool looking vehicles, they just saw them as like objects that they used to get from place to place. But sometime in the 50s or 60s, I don't know if it's like similar to the rise of like race cars and Ford v Ferrari and stuff like that.
Right.
We'll see if that's on this list later. But like it encapsulates that like feeling where you name your car. It's not like you have like a sexual relationship with your car, as in something like The Counselor, where Cameron Diaz has sex with the car.
Yeah.
But it's more in the vein of like that culture.
What'd you say this movie's called?
Christine. Oh wait, The Counselor. Look it up.
I'm furiously looking this up right now.
But it's more along the lines like you care for it like it's a member of your family. It's like in Back to the Future when he goes back to the 50s and Biff is super into his car and like making it look all nice and waxing it with multiple coats and stuff, and then crashes it into a thing of shit. And like him being super upset about it because he just loves his car so much and like the way it makes him look and feel. That's the same feeling I get from Christine,
Yeah.
And yes, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know if the kills like translate, but I think it's a genuinely interesting story. Like, why can't a car be like this sentient thing? It's like Rubber, that movie about the killer tire?
Yeah.
Why can't they make a movie like that? And John Carpenter has a knack for making movies that sound absurd actually kind of fun, even if you're not like into them entirely. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Chris,
except for The Thing, that's a great movie.
That's just great all around.
Yeah.
Chris, do you think I don't think you've seen this movie, but do you think Car could be scary?
Car could be scary. Anything can be scary.
Car could be scary. Yeah.
Car can be scary? Question mark. Yeah, cars can be scary. I'm trying to like, what's a movie with a scary ass car? Well,
the scene,
Brandon, remember
Maximum
the scene
Overdrive?
from Bowfinger where he has to run across the highway.
I love that scene. Well, the most scared I've ever been of a car was
me driving
Brandon.
for the first time.
It was actually, well, Brandon, you were there for this. It was on the Cars ride when fucking Mac.
Chris didn't know there was a dark ride section to this ride, and then
why are we inside? And suddenly,
she screamed. It was hilarious. Little kid in front of him. What the?
Can this guy shut up?
Yeah, car can be scary.
Okay, that's good to know. I think you like this movie then.
Yeah. Sweet.
All right, Brandon, go into your second car movie.
I picked Nomadland 2. No.
Yo, it's out.
I picked a John Watts movie from 2015, Cop Car, starring Kevin Bacon.
By the Bacon Man himself. Cop
So
Car.
this is, I think, John Watts' second film. It was after Clown, which I haven't seen yet. I think that's the only one of his movies.
You should
I
make
haven't seen.
Clown Car next.
Clown Car Spider-Man. Clown Car Far From Home. I don't know. It's like it's this movie where these two kids take a cop car and go for a joyride. And you think, oh, that sounds so innocent and delightful. It's like a coming of age tale.
Delightful.
No, this is a horror movie. This is a thriller. This cop is a dirty cop. He locked up a guy in his trunk who's like a criminal,
Mm-hmm.
and is looking furiously for this guy and his car because he's going to be in trouble for abusing this guy and putting him in his car and trying to kill him.
Oh.
And not only that, but these kids get into trouble. They almost hit people. They're not good drivers because they're like 12 or 13. So it's a layered coming of age tale, but also this thriller and horror film about Kevin Bacon trying to chase these kids down in another cop car. And it's kind of crazy. I don't want to spoil how it ends, but it is like actually amazing what they accomplished on so low of a budget.
Wow. I've only heard this film outside of Kevin Bacon and the title of Cop Car.
Mhm.
Uh,
Cop car.
yeah, I support joyriding, stealing cop cars. I think that's a good fun thing to do, but not if there's a criminal in the trunk. That doesn't sound.
They didn't know that.
They didn't know that. Okay.
No.
Well, that sounds like a fun time. It's on Netflix. I should check it out.
You should. I highly recommend it. I think honestly, like I remember those Taylor Sheridan movies,
Yes.
like Wind River and stuff. It reminds me a lot of that.
Okay.
So if you like those movies, I think you'd fall in line with this. Plus, very car focused.
Yes. Hence
Like
title,
80% of the movie takes place in a car.
Cop of Car. That's good. That's good. Chris, what do you think about Cop of Car?
So I have not seen any of John Watts' films other than his 2 Spider-Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
I do think John Watts, okay, the only point of reference I have for John Watts as a director in relation to cars is that one car scene in Spider-Man Homecoming, which he did really well. You know, the intensity of
He knows cars.
that sequence. Yeah, man knows how to use a car and
stop
make it
and go
feel
lights.
claustrophobic and scary. Yeah. Bro, he mastered a stop and go light, the green light on Vulture's face. Well done. Very nice. Yeah, man knows his cars. What can I say? Yeah, I mean, it is cool to have that kind of twist on the coming of age genre, and kind of giving it that horror touch to it. I feel like, I don't know if you guys ever feel this, but do you ever feel like indie directors tend to be really good at horror? Like big studio directors aren't that great with horror.
Yeah.
But then suddenly you come across an indie, and for whatever reason, indie people seem to know horror really well.
I think it's because indie directors are working with a budget, which
They know how to work within the constraints.
which gives them which teaches them how to work with horror with a low budget. And horror is all about sometimes what you don't see, what gives you fear, and how the camera is manipulated and stuff like that. And because they don't have the pressure of a studio, they're able to experiment with stuff like that,
Yeah.
But yeah, all right, cool pick. I want to check this out. Chris, what's your second pick?
Cool. My second pick is a movie I don't think we've ever talked about, but is one that I remember watching over last summer. Back when I was in Hong Kong, back when I was trying to do my one movie a day. It is a movie from 1997. It is directed by a person who I have given one of his other movies a half star.
Oh.
It is an Abbas Kiarostami film, Taste of Cherry.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
It is a beautiful movie. I really, really liked it. Kind of similar to in a weird way to Nomadland, in the sense of how the movie is a lot about encapsulating the life of a singular person in this kind of existential way. So basically what the movie's about is this guy is traveling around trying to find someone who can help bury him after he commits suicide. So of course a very heavy and dark concept, but the way they run with it has this really effortless poetic feeling to it. There's a very close attention to humanity on this film. And I think it's such a film that has this level of humility and conviction. And throughout it, you kind of just go along with this person as they drive around trying to find people and finding connection with these people who help him kind of just like see like how he's feeling, and like I don't know, it's a movie about existing in that weird way, and it all kind of centers around this guy in his car. Yeah, I don't want to say much more because this movie is like it has a lot to it that I think is hard to explain until you watch it yourself. Which is, and you know, it's weird enough that I like a Kiarostami movie, especially after hating Wind Will Carry Us, but I really like Close Up and Taste of Cherry.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, want to put that out there. I don't know. I like we don't talk about this Kiarostami like ever. So what do you guys think?
I mean, I think all three of us have come a long way since those days of the wind
Freshman year.
would carry us. And
Hello?
it was just like
The fucking turtle.
come on, that was
Flip him over. He cheered.
that was just that was a fun time to watch, even though we were all very angry at the film. But yeah, I think our tastes have matured. I haven't seen any other Kiarostami movies after I almost said The Wind Rises. No, The Wind Will Carry Us. That could be like the sequel. The Wind Rises, then The Wind Will Carry Us. But yeah, this sounds awesome. I'm really check this out. You know, expand my tastes here. Yeah, Brandon, what do you think? Since you've seen a
I
close-up.
think I don't I think the Sisyphean nature of The Wind Will Carry Us is okay, but I don't think the metaphor works as well as his stylistic and narrative conventions that he utilizes within Close Up, which I feel like is such a great use of the cinematic form because you're on the edge of your seat the whole time, even though like you kind of know what happens based on like how they set up the story. And not only that, it like allows you to transfix to like the screen based on the plot and the characters. It's so interesting. And I feel like based on what Chris has sort of talked about with The Taste of Cherry, is like that's just like the rest of his films. Like the rest of his films know how to command the screen with a narrative and with like a style
right
that kind of provokes the viewer to think about it. Whereas I felt like with The Wind Will Carry Us, there wasn't really much to think about. Like even as an active spectator, you're sitting here, you're like, okay, but I can't take this. It's hurting my brain. You know, I don't know what it's trying to tell me here. Maybe you guys will sound off in the comments and beat the hell out of me, but you know,
I think we need to give it a rewatch. I think that was like,
yeah, I agree with that.
I think
too.
that was
Yeah.
dropping off a fifth grader into fucking like a pre-calculus test, you know? We're just like, what is happening? You know? And I think we have now taught ourselves to be a lot more patient and observant with films.
Thank God for Vagabond by Agnes Varda.
Yeah. And
really just the initiation began right there, and then with Vagabond.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Fury thought that like Gummo was gonna be like our challenging film to be dropped off, but nah, it happened with Kiarostami semesters beforehand.
Yeah.
Good old pastrami.
Yeah, but I'm excited to check this out, Chris. That's what I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think you would really like this one, Brandon, especially knowing how much you like Nomadland too.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, awesome. All right,
Glad that we can tie them in together.
I think my second pick will be quite a popular one.
Uh-oh.
So a fundamental thing with movies about cars, I feel like, is action, right? Somehow cars and action just go together, because I think it's because cars can explode and they can go fast, you know? That it's just...
They're like moving bombs.
They're like moving bombs, yeah.
Any vehicle could do that.
Well, yeah, sure. I guess vehicles and action will go well together, you know? But specifically cars, because everyone has a car and they can pretend they're in an action movie when they drive car.
That's true.
So I picked one of the greatest action movies of all times and one of the greatest car movies. That's George Miller, 2015, Mad Max Fury Road.
How could I not have thought of this one?
I honorable mentioned this one.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. And I wrote an essay on Mad Max this weekend.
I mean, come on. It's only cars.
It's Mad Max. It's
the whole
cars.
setting of the film is just on cars, where it's a continuous sequence of oil tanker driving this way and then driving back, and just like all the insane shit that George Miller can choreograph and shoot on top of these cars as these insane post-apocalyptic warriors go across this barren wasteland. And it's one of the most impressive action movies to date. Like, I watched a video essay where they were talking about how George Miller is able to like track your eye line in an action sequence. So your eyes will basically flow like a figure eight across the screen, where like stuff will be going this way, then you'll follow your eyes something over on the right side, then the left side,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's it's one of the easiest action films to like keep up with because of that, and how he
Yeah.
choreographs that. And I just find that so impressive. I find
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
acting impressive. I thought, Tom Hardy, there's not much to do with Max. He's sort of there for the ride, but I think Tom Hardy does a good job. Then Charlize Theron as in
Oh,
Furiosa.
Charlize
Come
Theron.
on. There's a
Beautiful.
reason why Furiosa's getting like her own spin-off movie or something like that, because like she was such a standout character, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just such a great film in terms of world building too. Like I feel like it's one of the better Mad Max movies in terms of that, because like you get a sort of in-depth look at like this weird society led by
Mhm.
Immortan Joe, and like these war boys and like what their religion is like, and going to Valhalla and stuff like that. It's just like it was so unique in terms of world building and action. It's just like it's impossibly hard to not have a good time when you're watching this film. Guys, what do you think?
Mm. Oh, good movie. I remember seeing this movie like a week before I went in for my job interview at Harkins,
Oh
the
yeah.
theater I worked at. And I remember I don't like people who like smoke in movie theaters, but for that movie,
Someone was smoking in the movie theater.
they were vaping, and you
Oh.
could and it was like adding to the scene because of all the smoke and dust.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is actually kind of immersive. This is what 4D should be like. But like in actuality, like I don't know why I didn't think about this movie. Not only because I wrote the essay this weekend, but because like it is like top 100 action movie, maybe top 20 action movies of all time.
Yeah.
Best at Mad Max movie, definitely.
Mhm.
There's a reason why the Academy, which never recognizes genre films, it seems like, in terms of like a Best Picture nomination, and gave it a Best Picture nomination. And it's a car movie. Like it's a terrific story, and it's very simple. Anybody could watch it, and the action is some of the best stuff out there. That scene, and I honestly, one of my favorite scenes doesn't even involve a car. It's the scene where they crash after that tornado,
Oh yeah.
and he there's the gunfight scene with the car door and Furiosa, and it's so goddamn good. Not only that, his use of color in this movie
Oh yeah.
is
Oh.
terrific. Like
I think
the way that sorry,
the
go ahead.
scenes during the night, I was just gonna say, I think those are the most
Yeah.
impressive.
Mhm.
Like that's
Because it's
insane.
like they did the blue like outer thing, and then it like the candle makes this like colorful thing, and it's like it's so eye popping. Like I remember seeing it and be like, oh,
Oh wow.
how do you do that?
Wait, before you talk, Chris, I just wanted to share my first experience watching Mad Max.
Yeah.
I watched it in Montreal, Canada, and I watched it in French. And even though I was let's see, I think I was a sophomore. Yeah, I was a sophomore high school French
high school.
student. So I wasn't that well versed in French yet, but I could completely understand what was happening in this movie, which is just like a feat to the visual storytelling that George Miller is able to do in this film, It was fantastic. It was fantastic. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, speaking of visual storytelling, like Ethan, you were talking a lot about earlier about how the movie does this really great job of like being able to like guide the human eye. And like I remember recently in my cine thesis class, we've been talking a lot about how it's like on top of a billion other things the cinematographer does, another thing that they have to do with the director and editor and all together is kind of create like this what Bill Dill called a visual language that the audience can read.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like all about like lighting, movement, momentum, all about like how do you create this cohesive piece that like it's easy to navigate but sophisticated, in its design, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think they do a really good job of that. I think this is one of the best made action films of the modern age. Like you guys said, the stunts absolutely incredible, a perfect mix of like genuine real world stunts, use of dummies and actual like like stuntmen doing all this crazy shit, but then also the visual effects is beautiful. The design of the film is gorgeous. Obviously there's an amazing world sense of world building, as you said, like just the environment, the set design, the costumes, the makeup, and yeah, like, and also yeah, the feminist lens that you can adopt when watching this film is so poignant. That's why Furiosa is like kind of become like her own little like icon amongst like this world of, you know, like among like the Mad Max world. It's like it's almost its own little thing going there, and I think it's fantastic. Yeah, you guys nailed it on the head. Mad Max Fury Road. I
I,
totally buy this pick.
Junkie XL brings so
Yeah.
much energy.
Oh,
To
I was
it.
also going to
my
include. I think
God,
this is his
Junkie
best score
XL.
of all time.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
and with the guy on the guitar who has like the fire flaming,
come
but he's
on. It's so cool.
that end car chase is probably top 3, top 4 car chases up there with like a Mission Impossible or the end of The Good, Bad, and the Weird. Like,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah, it's so fantastic.
Well, this movie is just a car chase scene. That's all it is.
Yeah, but
so
if
it's
we
the
had
best
to break
one.
it up into,
It's the top
but if
one.
we had to break it
Oh,
up
yeah.
into car chases individually.
Yeah. All right. Brandon, let's go into the last round here with your last car movie.
All right. Unconventional pick. 2017 film called A Taxi Driver. Not Taxi Driver starring Robert De Niro.
Taxi
Oh,
Driver.
Wait, is this the one starring Song Kang-ho?
Yes.
Dude, I heard about this.
This is a underrated movie. It's a good journalism movie and it's a good car movie. So this guy is basically a down on his luck taxi driver in South Korea, and he's like, I need to make money for my kid. My wife passed away. How do I really participate in this like society that I'm living in? And this is during the same time as this period called the Gwangju Uprising, which is basically about police brutality and governments like trying to push more towards like I would say like not fascist but dictatorial politics, and obviously young people don't like that. So the story centers around this taxi driver who gets caught up in this long drive with a reporter who's German to this city of Gwangju, which is blocked off by the government, and they sneak in with his taxi. And this is very much a story about him like learning to care about humanity through going on like this road trip through this city and being able to like actually care for people that are not himself and his own problems, though those are prevalent within the film, through this very important moment in history that doesn't get talked about enough. But yeah, I it has to do with cars because there are car chases in it. There's like a group of taxi drivers who kind of are like the head of this movement other than these students who are protesting. And it's honestly so good. I recommend it to anybody who's interested in the Hong Kong protests today because it is a like direct parallel. It's so good.
Yeah, the very small demographic there. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. All right. So the next one, I'm just kidding. Sorry, my mind just got scrambled during that. I think it's just because it's hot in here. Song Kang-ho, man, he's such a good actor, and I haven't seen this movie, but it sounds right up my alley. Love a good journalism movie. Love a good protest movie. You know, I love a good car movie. So that's got all of it right there. Society of Cab Drivers. That sounds cool. Hell yeah, I'm in. What do you think, Chris?
I think like, when was this movie made, Brandon?
2017.
2017. Okay, so as we all know, Korean cinema has just been popping off throughout like the 2000s. Like they've just been killing it. I don't know what they're doing, but they've been just everything that comes out of Korea tends to be a banger for some reason.
Yeah,
and
true.
I have no doubt that this is probably one of their best because I've heard a lot of great things about this movie. Yeah, man, you've sold me. I've seen that poster a billion times because I'm just like, why does Song Kang-ho look so happy like in his taxi? But
he's
I
learning.
Mean, yeah, so I don't know, man. Like it's one of those things where it's like you look at something and you're like, that looks interesting, and then the more you hear about it, the more you're like, okay, like let's give this a chance. And sounds good, man. I'm sold.
All right,
I've done a good job of selling my movies this episode.
That's true. All right, Chris, take us into your last pick.
Well, Ethan, I actually have a bit of a bone to pick with you about something.
What?
So I remember asking you about this.
Kill him.
You told me that this movie was on Final Stack, but it's not. It didn't make it to Final Stack. I think you might have gotten it confused with another.
Oh
one.
yeah, I did. You know what? I
Yeah.
did because you
was
chose two car movies for sports.
I chose 2 car movies.
I
for
couldn't
sports.
remember which one.
One of them made a
Okay.
man, one didn't.
Yeah.
I do want to honorable mention the movie that did make it to Final Stack. That I think would be great for this category. It's Speed Racer.
Yeah.
I think the Wachowskis directed it. I think that's a very great Cars movie. But the movie that I am picking is a 2006 film directed by friend of the show. Second time we're mentioning him in 2 weeks. Friend of the show, John Lasseter, directed the movie Cars.
From what I've heard. No, just kidding.
Cars.
Cars.
Come on, that's the episode's car movies. Gotta have cars.
Car movies, you gotta have cars. What can I say? Well, let me start by saying I still, to this day, adamantly believe that the opening sequence to Cars is the greatest opening to a film Pixar has ever made. And it is one of my favorite openings to a film ever made. That kind of momentum and energy you get, and that level of serotonin rush that enters my brain when I hear speed. I am speed. I don't know. There's something about it that's just so much fun. I think it's a really fun movie. It's a very endearing movie too. It's a movie about finding your humility and, learning to exist beyond your career and also just be a normal person. Granted, yes, takes place in a world that makes absolutely zero sense. And as much as I definitely do lament that there's a lot of shall I say Lasseter-isms throughout this movie.
A lot of awkward hugging from the cars.
Yeah, a lot of awkward hugging, a little bit of
like those teenage
harassment
fans
at the
that are in the
workplace.
Stands.
That flash, yeah, and then I think there's this one person at Radiator Springs that continuously slaps McQueen's ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that aside, I don't know if I can defend this movie anymore. Yeah, this movie.
It's a heartwarming story.
It is a very heartwarming story about finding oneself and finding a sense of community and coming together. It's about finding what makes you happy and being able to use that to be a better person yourself. I think it's a very endearing movie. It's funny. We talked about me being scared by Mac on the Cars ride earlier. So, yeah. Yeah, Cars. I really enjoy this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I had a collection of toy cars, but they were designed to look like the cars from Cars as a kid that I loved. What do you guys think of this movie?
Excellent movie. Actually, just a good movie. But it's hard because it's like Bug's Life, like we talked about last week, right? It's like another one of those films because it came out at the same time as a bunch of other great Pixar movies that are classics. It gets overshadowed, and kind of rightfully so in certain circumstances. I'm not a big fan of Mater. He probably works best in this movie.
Yeah.
But I think honestly his character is kind of just a stereotype, and it's nothing there's super funny about him. But his relationship with Queen here is actually pretty poignant, and surprisingly so. It's a great car movie, great racing movie. I don't know if it's the best opening. I think Cachet is a great opening that I would say is pretty good. But that's a good choice, Chris. The racing sequences in this are terrific, and I know there's not a lot of it's him learning to race in the desert, which is really cool. And another thing, I have a connection to this movie too. This also is inspired by an area in Arizona
God damn it.
on Route 66.
Oh yeah, you took me there.
Chris has been there. I took him when we went on spring break in freshman year. I can't remember.
One of the two.
One of those 2 years. And I don't know, Chris, talk about your experience on Route 66.
It was really cool.
It's based on Radiator Springs.
Yeah, it was really cool because it's this one, at least that's the way I remember it, right? It's this one long strip of and these buildings that are surrounding it, and but they're small. They look just like Radiator Springs, and you can tell they're kind of the architecture and the culture there is kind of in the least derogatory,
stuck in the 50s.
In the least derogatory way possible, in from a time gone by. But in its own little charming way, it really is kind of a fun place to be. It feels like it's stuck in the 50s, 60s. I don't know if there's what goes on within that city beyond how nostalgic it looks in that kind of way. But it is a lot of fun being there, and it's you really do get the sense of like, I can totally imagine that Pixar maybe sent a couple of its peeps like over there to like learn about the look and the imagery, take some photos, and hopefully integrate that into the animation team or whatever, or the set design. I don't know how animation workflow works, but
I think they took like aspects from like Utah, the Utah desert and the Monument Valley on the edge of like the Arizona Utah border. And then they were like, we want that same aesthetic of like the 50s and 60s because, like you said, it's this bygone era past the freeway when they made that for like theme parks and stuff.
Right.
Disney is partially the reason why like places like Route 66 are like dying, right? And like they sent people and they're heavily inspired, so they just put them together. And my dad, growing up in the region, like he literally grew up like right next to Route 66. It's just like it's such an amazing place, and it's not like a ghost town. It's not like those old Western towns. It's like one of those nostalgia places where you want to go to just experience that period of time, and it's very nostalgic.
That's right. I got something to say. There are two certainties in life. Haters gonna hate, and mater's gonna mate, baby. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were gonna say ainter's gonna anus or whatever from the movie. Remember that?
They hate us because they hate us. No, I haven't seen Cars in a while. I'm gonna be honest. I think the last time I saw it was in the drive-in. I saw Cars in a drive-in, which is like,
that's pretty cool.
You drove
What
into the
better way to
Cars
see-
movie.
yeah,
That's offensive to your car.
yeah. I was like, this could be you.
This is what
You
you
could be
click.
free and willing on your own, but you're stuck being my slave to take me to places. You know. Someone brought up that Cars and Thor are the same movie.
Well, in a weird way, yeah. Like the level of like
That's
humanizing someone. You know what I mean?
lightning themed character. Like gets
But what came
banished to
first?
desert town.
Come on.
Cars came first, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Come on, you got Lightning McQueen, got Mater. Lightning McQueen trains. I don't.
He falls in love.
Falls in love. Come on.
He learns his lesson. He learns how to like integrity, and he like gets a work ethic, you know?
Yeah.
Because he learns how to race for one, but he also repairs the road he broke.
Oh, he broke a road. I don't remember
He
that.
tore
You
it
don't
up when he
remember
was pulling like a statue or something. Come on, Ethan. You're car head.
I haven't seen Cars in 400 years. I'm sorry. It's been such a long
good
time. Okay. Well, yeah, Cars. Come on. You can't talk about car movies without having the movie that just has cars in the title, you know? So
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying. Okay, so my film, as I was talking about earlier with Tokyo Drift, I'm going to be talking about the film that probably has the most influence over both Fast and the Furious and Tokyo Drift, because it is the film, the adaptation of the manga and the video game series, Initial D. But
Is that
Uh-huh.
what were you thinking?
No.
Oh,
No, I was just like,
I thought Brandon was thinking of something else because he like got a disappointed face when I'm talking about. But I'm not talking about the live action movie. I'm talking about Initial D, the third stage, which is, if you're unfamiliar with the anime, stages are basically seasons, right? So the first two stages of the show are 2 seasons, but for some reason they made the third season just a movie. So this movie is sort of like the climax of everything that's happened in the past 2 seasons, where, if you're unfamiliar, Initial D follows this kid named Takumi, who he is the son of a tofu salesman slash ex race car driver who was like the best race car driver of all time, right? And Takumi had to run deliveries for his dad. He's been running tofu deliveries for his dad ever since he was 12. Now, he hates cars. He hates driving cars. So he did not like these tofu deliveries. So what he did was, during his routes of delivering tofu, he would perfect his car driving so much that he would be able to do it in less than 20 minutes. Now, because he's delivering tofu, you have to be very delicate because the tofu could break if you're making sharp turns and everything. So he's trained himself to master drift around corners and stuff. And by the way, this is based off a true story. The dude who actually did this, he's in Tokyo Drift. He's the old fisherman in Tokyo Drift. He actually did this.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, but
That's crazy.
so but all the names and stuff have been changed, and like the plot's been changed, but it's based around this dude who used to do deliveries, and would learn how to drive through his deliveries and become a master driver like Drifter. So the first 2 seasons is basically building up Takumi, taking over the street racing scene because he's so good. But what makes him such a good character is like he doesn't care about cars or anything at all. He just does it because his friends want him to, or like he's doing it to impress a girl or something like that, you know? And it's the series of Initial D is such an amazing balance of exhilarating races and exhilarating teen drama that like it's like watching a really bad soap opera that you're just like you're really invested in for some reason, you know? And all of the drama and all the racing comes to a climax with this third movie. The animation is absolutely beautiful. The score, I don't think I can separate driving a car with Eurobeat ever again. I think those two are synonymous, you know? It is I just like I want every movie that has racing sequences, take out the score and put in Eurobeat. I'm even talking about Mad Max Fury Road. Put in Eurobeat and Mad Max. I don't fucking care.
Does that even fit?
I don't
even know.
You can't have the sound of an engine anymore without the sound of Eurobeat. That's all I'm saying. And that's how good Initial D is, because it's able to rewire my brain to think like that, you know?
Can you imagine?
Yeah, it should. I wanted to like wire my car to like whenever I turn it on, it'll just be Eurobeat, you know? It has taught me to like, even though I drive an automatic car, I always put my hand on the clutch, even though it doesn't do anything. Because like that's what they do in Initial D, and they put so much focus on the clutch and the technique of drifting. And like I said with Tokyo Drift, there's nothing cooler than perfecting a drift, because it's such a feat of mind work, footwork, handwork, you know, timing,
Gotta be
weight,
coordinated.
velocity, you know, to pull off a perfect drift. There's nothing like it. And the racing sequences in this film are fantastic. He races against the son of his dad's rival from when his dad was a racer. So that scene's intense. He gets retribution from the villains from the last season with the final showdown. And then there's some other stuff that I don't want to spoil, with some drama surrounding a girlfriend in the final act. That's just like, whoa, it's crazy. It's crazy. Guys, Chris, I know you've seen some Initial D.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Not enough to, yeah. So like I've seen like parts of Initial D, like enough to understand what the concept is, but like not enough to like the show, like knowing enough of it, but like not like being like able to understand the full plot or anything like that. But one thing I do really like in this movie is that energy. I think Initial D has this kind of, like you said, Eurobeat, funky, super groovy, but like, I don't know. So there's like a momentum to it. I don't know what it is, but there's something about it that just feels very like, I don't know. There's just something about it that just has this like palpable energy that I think is synonymous with like driving, especially in like a neon lit kind of city. You know what I mean? There's like
Yeah.
there's a vibe to it, and I think that's the most attractive thing to me about the series and this movie. Like just the way it does its thing. It's like it's just, I don't know. It's just so infectiously. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just filled with this energy that is infectious.
Just this visceral energy, you know, you get from watching these races pairing with this music. It's insane. Brandon, I have a feeling we're going to be watching Initial D this summer once you move in with me. Just be ready for it.
I'm aware. I think here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Because I like Redline, and that's a good racing anime movie.
That's a good car movie too. Well, not really cars. It's like space cars. I don't know, but semantics.
Yeah, it counts. But like, I think it would be more compelling if shows did that, where they just were like, nah, let's not do another season. Let's just do a movie.
Yeah.
You know, a feature length movie that is like high budget and high quality, because most TV is not. You know, it's like 10 million per episode or 5 million per episode, and that's like very low budget. Like more movies that do what like Game of Thrones did, not like plot wise, because I know some people didn't like it. I thought it was okay, but in terms of like budget and like really going all out and showing your fans you care, like this movie, which I probably will like. I love it when anime kind of ends on that movie format. I liked it with Evangelion.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked it with Cowboy Bebop. I know it didn't end technically, but
it's
you
like,
know what I mean. That's the last piece of material.
I think it sort of thematically ends. you know?
Right, exactly. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say because I don't know anything about it.
Well, it's funny. It's because it's like it's not really the end. There are 3 other seasons after this, but
What?
it ends. Like I don't think you have to watch the like we're
Okay,
season 4 wasn't that great. We're going through season 5 right now. It's fine, but like season 3 has such a fine ending that you can just watch those 3 seasons and be completely satisfied, you know?
that's the plan.
That's what we'll probably do. All right. Well, those are all of our picks. So let's run down our picks one last time before we get to figure out this final stack. This is going to be tough. There's a lot of good car movies here.
I have a stack.
Okay, well, say it after we say all of our movies. But do you want to say your movies, Brandon? What are your movies?
Yeah. I got Nomadland, Cop Car, and A Taxi Driver.
Chris?
I have Tokyo Drift, Taste of Cherry, and Cars.
And I got Christine, Mad Max Fury Road, and Initial D, Third Stage. All right, Brandon, what's your pitch?
Oh, my pitch. Nomadland, Tokyo Drift, Cars.
No! Fuck you!
Because they all have Arizona in them.
No!
The Arizona stack.
I was going to say Nomadland, Tokyo Drift, Fury Road.
I agree with
kind of
that.
like Arizona.
I was kind of memeing, but Arizona's not that deserty. But also, it was like kind of funny that like all these Arizona movies have good cars, or vice versa. All these car movies have good Arizona.
Would you say Taxi Driver is like better than Nomadland for this? I don't know. Those are both yours, Brandon.
I think Nomadland brings a different taste than Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver is like a comedic drama, whereas like Nomadland's very straightforward drama, slice of life.
Yeah, that's true.
So I like the slice of life vibe because it gives like a little bit of a contrast to Tokyo Drift and Fury Road, because those are like high octane all the time.
And we got a lot of like different sort of genres of the car here, you know? You got with Tokyo Drift, you got the classic racing movie, you know? Can't have that without cars, you know? Then we got an action movie with Mad Max Fury Road. And then we sort of have like an outside of the box pick with Nomadland that sort of depicts the life of car fans.
Cars fans.
Because that's the only reason. They just love cars.
They love living on the road and being able to like not be stuck in one place, and I think we should all take that as a good piece of advice.
That's right.
You don't want to like let your subjectivity, you know, sink into one.
What? My ears are perking up. Subjectivity, you say?
You don't want one perspective, you know. You want to encourage like global perspectives or regional perspectives.
We do have, and this is a worldwide thing. We got Japan, we got America, and we got Australia.
Exactly.
Boom. Look at that. Look at us. Look what we did.
Look at us.
Who'd have thought?
Huh? Who'd have thought? Me? You?
You? Me?
Okay, where do we start with this?
That's a good
I
question.
think Nomadland should go in the middle.
I think we...
Because if you start with it, it's kind of low.
I think we start with Tokyo Drift.
You're sad.
Yeah. I think we start with Tokyo Drift. What do you think? Because that's like car culture as we know it, you know, and racing at the city life. Then we take it back into the deserts with that kind of car culture, and then we jump into the dystopian future with that kind of car culture, you know. And
so it's the way we know it
happens there.
The way we know it, a version of it, and the dystopian version of it.
The way it will be.
The past, the present, the future.
That's okay. Yeah,
it kind of is, because like Tokyo Drift takes place in the past, because it's a spoilers. It's a prequel in the Fast and Furious movie franchise.
It's a sequel
prequel. All right,
those are weird.
I'm liking this stack. It's
like a Saw franchise. The Saw and Fast franchises are like the most convoluted like things that don't need to be convoluted. You could just, you know, make them one by one, but they just play with time and shit.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, let's get into our final stack for the most quintessential car triple feature. Here, brought to you by us here at Stacked Entertainment. Starting with Chris, you want to start us off with our first film in this final stack?
Yep, our first film is a 2006 film directed by Justin Lin. It is Fast and Furious Presents Tokyo Drift, an incredible movie with the most vibrant, insane, high octane neo Tokyo energy that you could ask for. A perfect early 2000s encapsulation of race and race culture. That sounds a little funny. Yeah, race in Tokyo, man. Yeah, Tokyo Drift. Let's go.
All right. And our second pick, Brandon?
Our second pick is Nomadland, a film that takes place in the present that really is about car lovers, you know? Films about people who love staying in their cars so much that they just live in them and travel in them. And that's kind of
Chloe Zhao,
very introspective slice of life.
She
Queen.
fucking figured out. This one goes out to all the car fans. Nomadland. All right.
I hope you're listening to this in a car right now.
Oh, yes. Come on. This is the
Swanky,
perfect
watch
episode.
my podcast.
Do a back-to-back of road trip movies and car movies. Come on. There's nothing better.
You could totally listen to this on your morning commute.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. All right. And our last film is George Miller's action masterpiece. I think this is like a modern classic. Don't you agree? Modern classic,
Yeah.
Mad Max Fury
I think
Road.
it's like the closest
Yeah,
thing.
I think so,
One of the
too.
closest things.
Absolutely. It's a film that is just, that displays impressive filmmaking feat after feat, complete immersion with this world building, and the most easy to follow but batshit insane action sequences of all times that follows around these fucking cars, just burning, just kicking up sand in the dirt and just driving on the road and burning oil and fucking blowing up. And it's the best, and you will always have a good time. I don't know anyone who doesn't love this movie. Do you know anyone who doesn't love this movie? Come on. Everyone loves this movie.
No.
That's why it's a modern
but-
classic.
But how does it tie into the Pixar theory? That's what I'm wondering.
Because this is what car culture will look like in the future if we don't take care of our planet.
This was before the beginning of WALL-E. This is what's going on Earth.
Everyone says our world's going to look like the movie The Road, but it's going to look like the Fury Road. You know what I'm saying? Yes. All right. And that'll do it for this episode, this radical episode of Stacked, where we shifted all sorts of gears. We drifted, we burned rubber, we fucking braked, we backed up, we parked. And now the episode is over. Thank you all so much for listening.
Wait,
What?
why was this unironically one of the best episodes of Stack we've ever recorded?
It's simple, Brandon. Cars are cool. And now, fellas, let's ride off into the road. We'll see you next time on Stacked.